So in today's video, I want to talk about successfully setting a soil substrate up for an ecosystem aquarium. There's lots of different ways online and lots of different people telling you to do lots of different things. And basically, if your goal is to set up a ecosystem aquarium where the plants are processing the nutrients that the fish are creating, then in today's video I'll do the most simple setup that can achieve that goal. And if you understand this process, then you're golden. You can set it up, you can leave it, and it'll just continue doing the work for you. So in the likes of the Walstad method, and like Tim Harrison's soil substrate he talks about, which is based on the Walstad method, and Dustin from Dustin's fish tanks, he uses soil substrate. And the one thing that they've all got in common, which they all talk about, is the mineralization of your soil before you use it. And basically what this entails is putting it somewhere so it can get wet and dry, or something where basically what it's doing is, you know, the beneficial bacteria in your aquarium that most people use to process ammonia into nitrite, into nitrate. Well, we're getting this, so we're maturing our substrate, we're promoting these bacteria in the soil, so they're processing the ammonia and we're making it into basically mulm. It ties into fertilization of any aquarium. So what we're doing is we're breaking it down into our micronutrients, so then we put that in the tank. Plant roots will use the mulm to absorb micronutrients, and the bacteria and the mycelium in that substrate and everything in that substrate then under the cap is, then we're putting that soil in our aquarium. And what we're doing is we need to promote a highly oxygenated substrate where the beneficial bacteria can keep breaking down the fish waste, because that's our goal, and the mycelium can help transport the nutrients to the plant roots, because mycelium, a fungus, lives in symbiosis with our plant roots. And if you look at stuff like pine trees, stuff like that, they absolutely love mycelium. If you go into a pine forest, you can smell the mycorrhizal mycelium in the air. They live in a symbiotic relation. Pines can't exist without this relationship with the mycelium, the fungus in the soil. If you dig it up, you can see white patches of this mycorrhiza or mycelium. And these are the things we want to be promoting in the substrate in our aquarium, and these need oxygenation. That's why Diana Walstad talks about the highly oxygenated environment of soil under the cap, and we need to promote that oxygenated soil. We've mineralized our soil, we've put it in our tank, we've capped it with a gravel or something that's porous enough to let oxygen, highly oxygenated water, interact with that initial layer of soil, because we need to promote the beneficial bacteria and we need to promote the mycelium that's existing in that soil where the plant roots are. Otherwise, when these processes break down, then nutrient cycling breaks down, and the nutrient cycling is the fish waste being converted into nutrients that the plants can absorb. Now, a big potential problem we can run into, and something that I always question online, is when people tell me I need 2 inches of sand, and I ask, why do I need 2 inches of sand? And they normally tell me something along the lines of nutrients in your water column can cause algae and stuff like that. And there's a reason why the likes of Dustin from Dustin's fish tank and Diana Walstad have touched on this highly oxygenated layer, and how 2 inches of sand can inhibit oxygen underneath the sand, and it can cause anaerobic conditions. Now, bacteria in anaerobic conditions will no longer process and nutrient cycle in a way that converts fish food and fish waste into nutrients that the plants can absorb. The first thing they'll do is they'll swap from nitrification to denitrification, and once this happens, you're building up gases in your aquarium. Now, some people will argue, well, the likes of hydrogen sulfide isn't toxic to fish, but the thing is when it caps under the surface, then you're creating a layer of gas under that sand, and plant roots in gas look into aerial pruning, which is a technique in bonsai. Plant roots in a gas, it'll just prune them. Like, the plant roots don't want to live in a gas like oxygen or CO2 or nitrogen. It'll just prune them off. So that's the first problem we've got, is the potential we're setting up denitrification. This denitrification is letting off gases that will build up in your sand substrate. Then the second process, mycelium, they want to live. And then the second problem we've got is mycelium, these mycorrhizae, they want to live in an oxygen-rich environment. They don't want to live in an anaerobic condition. They'll struggle to live in these conditions. Now, arguably, the plant roots can transfer oxygen down to them, but then we're expecting our plants to use additional energy, which is weakening them, to provide the mycelium with oxygen, when we could just avoid all this and plants don't have to expel the energy. And the third potential issue with anaerobic conditions is with our micronutrients in the soil beneath the cap. If them conditions are anaerobic, these micronutrients will form compounds that the plants can't use. For example, like iron, it'll form a form of iron that the plants won't absorb. So therefore, even though these nutrients in the substrate, the plant can't access them. So therefore, it's irrelevant whether it's there or not, because it may as well not be there, because the plants can't use it in the form it's in that compound. So what I'm saying is the most effective way we can set up a soil substrate for our ecosystem is using a mineralised soil which is mild, which doesn't contain any heavy fertilisers which will burn the roots off our plants. It's been mineralised, it's all processed, and the bacteria are ready to process the fish waste as it comes in, and then we cap that with something that allows oxygen, which promotes the beneficial bacteria processes, and it promotes mycelium, mycorrhizae, and helps our micronutrients in a way that the plants can absorb them. So all these things together, these are the goals of the likes of the Walstad method, or what Dustin from Dustin's Fish Tanks is trying to achieve, and Tim Harrison. That's all these people are doing this, and they're promoting this, and they're talking about it in great detail. And it's something that is really, if you can nail that, you've nailed the Walstad method. If you do that and get your mal substrate and start nutrient cycling, so you're feeding your fish and the fish waste's coming in, being broken down by the bacteria, mycelium and everything, then it's that process, that continuous cycle. That's your goal in an ecosystem and nothing else. You want to feed your fish and your plants absorb all the nutrients out the waste, your plants grow healthily, and you're golden, you've nailed it. Anything on top of that, in my opinion, what I'm trying to achieve, that I'm not trying to achieve anything else other than my plants and my bacteria and my fish living in symbiosis. So it's that simple. If you can nail nutrient cycling, you've nailed your ecosystem aquarium. And I've also talked about stem plants, floating plants, absorbing nutrients out the water column to give you a low nutrients water column, and the use of heavy root feeding plants to get down in the substrate, keep it all open. I've talked about using the likes of Akadama, lava rock, horticultural grit to break it up, help get that oxygen in there so we can promote nutrient cycling and gas exchange, because as them bacteria are breaking them nutrients down into our macronutrients, which is nitrogen, potassium and phosphate, they're also releasing CO2, as are the fish when they're metabolizing. All these things are our nutrient cycle and gas exchange, which is what the fish and the plants want. The plants are releasing oxygen and the fish are releasing CO2. The bacteria are also releasing CO2 as they're metabolizing. And that's our ecosystem running efficiently. We don't need to add anything else to it. Take care, guys.